Chapter 19. Ashes of the red heifer. Yahweh spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying,
This is the statute of the law which Yahweh has commanded. Speak to the children of Israel, that they bring you a red heifer without spot, in which is no blemish, and on which never came yoke. You shall give her to Eleazar the priest, and he shall bring her forth outside of the camp. And one shall kill her before his face. And Eleazar the priest shall take of her blood with his finger, and sprinkle her blood toward the front of the tent of meeting 7 times. One shall burn the heifer in his sight, her skin and her flesh, and her blood, with her dung, shall he burn. And the priest shall take cedar wood, and hyssop, and scarlet, and cast it into the midst of the burning of the heifer. Then the priest shall wash his clothes, and he shall bathe his flesh in water. And afterward he shall come into the camp, and the priest shall be unclean until the evening. He who burns her shall wash his clothes in water, and bathe his flesh in water, and shall be unclean until the evening. A man who is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer, and lay them up outside of the camp in a clean place, and it shall be kept for the congregation of the children of Israel, for a water for impurity. It is a sin offering. He who gathers the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the evening. And it shall be to the children of Israel, and to the stranger who lives as a foreigner among them, for a statute forever.
Purification of the unclean.
He who touches the dead body of any man shall be unclean 7 days. The same shall purify himself with water on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he shall be clean. But if he doesn't purify himself the 3rd day, then the 7th day he shall not be clean. Whoever touches a dead person, the body of a man who has died, and doesn't purify himself, defiles the tabernacle of Yahweh, and that soul shall be cut off from Israel, because the water for impurity was not sprinkled on him. He shall be unclean. His uncleanness is yet on him. This is the law when a man dies in a tent. Everyone who comes into the tent, and everyone who is in the tent, shall be unclean 7 days. Every open vessel, which has no covering bound on it, is unclean. Whoever in the open field touches one who is slain with a sword, or a dead body, or a bone of a man, or a grave, shall be unclean 7 days. For the unclean they shall take of the ashes of the burning of the sin offering, and running water shall be put thereto in a vessel. And a clean person shall take hyssop, and dip it in the water, and sprinkle it on the tent, and on all the vessels, and on the persons who were there, and on him who touched the bone, or the slain, or the dead, or the grave. And the clean person shall sprinkle on the unclean on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day. And on the 7th day he shall purify him. And he shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and shall be clean at evening. But the man who shall be unclean and shall not purify himself, that soul shall be cut off from the midst of the assembly, because he has defiled the sanctuary of Yahweh. The water for impurity has not been sprinkled on him. He is unclean. It shall be a perpetual statute to them. And he who sprinkles the water for impurity shall wash his clothes, and he who touches the water for impurity shall be unclean until evening. Whatever the unclean person touches shall be unclean, and the soul that touches it shall be unclean until evening.
Chapter 20. The death of Miriam. The children of Israel, even the whole congregation, came into the wilderness of Zin in the first month. And the people stayed in Kadesh, and Miriam died there, and was buried there. Water from the rock. There was no water for the congregation, and they assembled themselves together against Moses and against Aaron. The people strove with Moses and spoke, saying, "We wish that we had died when our brothers died before Yahweh. Why have you brought the assembly of Yahweh into this wilderness, that we should die there, we and our animals? Why have you made us to come up out of Egypt, to bring us into this evil place? It is no place of seed, or of figs, or vines, or of pomegranates. Neither is there any water to drink." Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the door of the tent of meeting, and fell on their faces. And the glory of Yahweh appeared to them. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying,
"Take the rod, and assemble the congregation, you and Aaron your brother, and speak to the rock before their eyes, that it give forth its water. And you shall bring forth to them water out of the rock. So you shall give the congregation and their livestock drink."
Moses took the rod from before Yahweh, as he commanded him. Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly together before the rock, and he said to them, "Hear now, you rebels, shall we bring you water out of this rock for you?" Moses lifted up his hand and struck the rock with his rod twice, and water came forth abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their livestock. Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron,
"Because you didn't believe in me, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore you shall not bring this assembly into the land which I have given them."
These are the waters of Meribah, because the children of Israel strove with Yahweh, and he was sanctified in them. Edom refuses passage. Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom, saying, "Thus says your brother Israel, you know all the travail that has happened to us, how our fathers went down into Egypt, and we lived in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians dealt ill with us and our fathers. And when we cried to Yahweh, he heard our voice, and sent an angel, and brought us forth out of Egypt. And behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the uttermost of your border. Please let us pass through your land. We will not pass through field or through vineyard, neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go along the king's highway. We will not turn aside to the right hand nor to the left until we have passed your border." Edom said to him, "You shall not pass through me, lest I come out with the sword against you." The children of Israel said to him, "We will go up by the highway, and if we drink of your water, I and my livestock, then I will give its price." Let me only, without doing anything else, pass through on my feet." He said, "You shall not pass through." Edom came out against him with many people and with a strong hand. Thus Edom refused to give Israel passage through his border. So Israel turned away from him. The death of Aaron. They traveled from Kadesh, and the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, came to Mount Hor. Yahweh spoke to Moses and Aaron in Mount Hor, by the border of the land of Edom, saying,
Aaron shall be gathered to his people, for he shall not enter into the land which I have given to the children of Israel, because you rebelled against my word at the waters of Meribah. Take Aaron and Eleazar his son, and bring them up to Mount Hor, and strip Aaron of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son. And Aaron shall be gathered to his people, and shall die there.
Moses did as Yahweh commanded, and they went up into Mount Hor in the sight of all the congregation. Moses stripped Aaron of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son, and Aaron died there on the top of the mountain. And Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain. When all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, they wept for Aaron 30 days, even all the house of Israel. Chapter 21. Victory over the Canaanites. The Canaanite, the king of Arad, who lived in the south, heard tell that Israel came by the way of Atharim, and he fought against Israel, and took some of them captive. Israel vowed a vow to Yahweh, and said, "If you will indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities." Yahweh listened to the voice of Israel, and delivered up the Canaanites, and they utterly destroyed them and their cities. And the name of the place was called Hormah. The bronze serpent. They traveled from Mount Hor by the way to the Red Sea, to compass the land of Edom. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. The people spoke against God and against Moses. "Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, and there is no water, and our soul loathes this light bread." Yahweh sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and many people of Israel died. The people came to Moses and said, "We have sinned, because we have spoken against Yahweh and against you. Pray to Yahweh that he take away the serpents from us." Moses prayed for the people. Yahweh said to Moses,
Make a fiery serpent, and set it on a standard. And it shall happen that every one who is bitten, when he sees it, shall live.
Moses made a serpent of brass, and set it on the standard. And it happened that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he looked to the serpent of brass, he lived. The journey to Moab. The children of Israel traveled, and encamped in Oboth. They traveled from Oboth, and encamped at Liabiram, in the wilderness, which is before Moab, toward the sunrise. From there they traveled, and encamped in the valley of Zered. From there they traveled, and encamped on the other side of the Arnon, which is in the wilderness, that comes out of the border of the Amorites. For the Arnon is the border of Moab, between Moab and the Amorites. Therefore it is said in the book of the wars of Yahweh, Wahib in Suphah, the valleys of the Arnon, The slope of the valleys that incline toward the dwelling of Ar leans on the border of Moab. From there they traveled to Bair. That is the well of which Yahweh said to Moses, "Gather the people together, and I will give them water." Then sang Israel this song, "Spring up, well, sing to it. The well which the princes dug, which the nobles of the people dug, with the scepter and with their poles." From the wilderness they traveled to Mattanah, and from Mattanah to Nahaliel, and from Nahaliel to Bamoth, and from Bamoth to the valley that is in the field of Moab, to the top of Pisgah, which looks down on the desert. The defeat of Sihon. Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites, saying, "Let me pass through your land. We will not turn aside into field or into vineyard. We will not drink of the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway until we have passed your border." Sihon would not allow Israel to pass through his border. But Sihon gathered all his people together and went out against Israel into the wilderness, and came to Jahaz, and he fought against Israel. Israel struck him with the edge of the sword, and possessed his land from the Arnon to the Jabbok, even to the children of Ammon, for the border of the children of Ammon was strong. Israel took all these cities, and Israel lived in all the cities of the Amorites, in Heshbon, and in all its towns. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab, and taken all his land out of his hand, even to the Arnon. Therefore, those who speak in Proverbs say, "Come to Heshbon, let the city of Sihon be built and established. For a fire has gone out of Heshbon, a flame from the city of Sihon. It has devoured Ar of Moab, the lords of the high places of the Arnon. Woe to you, Moab! You are undone, people of Chemosh. He has given his sons as fugitives, and his daughters into captivity, to Sihon, king of the Amorites. We have shot at them. Heshbon has perished even to Dibon. We have laid waste even to Nophah, which reaches to Medeba." The defeat of Og. Thus Israel lived in the land of the Amorites. Moses sent to spy out Jazer, and they took its towns, and drove out the Amorites who were there. They turned and went up by the way of Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, went out against them, he and all his people, to battle at Edrei. Yahweh said to Moses,
"Don't fear him, for I have delivered him into your hand, and all his people, and his land, and you shall do to him as you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who lived at Heshbon."
So they struck him, and his sons, and all his people, until there was none left him remaining, and they possessed his land.